There are 7 secrets that a lot of people overlook when they start getting into investing in rental properties, and we're going to go through them today. What's up guys, it's Lewi Gault here, how's it going? Welcome to the channel as always. Hit the like, subscribe button if you like all this stuff. Today we are talking about rental properties and the steps to get into rental properties, to invest in them, to be a landlord, and how to operate in that sphere. Now, owning rental properties can be a great way to build long-term wealth, build a portfolio where you're always bringing in some cash flow to your bank account. The mistake a lot of first-time landlords make is missing a few key steps before they start investing. They just put their money in and they kind of learn as they go. Well, today I'm going to show you the 7 biggest things that you need to know if you're going to start getting involved in rental properties. Number 1, and it's a huge one here in Denver, be aware of the Airbnb laws in your city or wherever you're going to be buying a rental property. At the time of filming this video, in Denver, you cannot Airbnb a home that is not your primary residence. What does that mean? If I'm in my house right now, I can Airbnb this if I go out of town, whatever, that's perfectly fine. But I can't buy a property just for Airbnb purposes. You cannot do that in Denver. It's outlawed here and a few other cities, and there's a whole bunch of politics that go into that decision. But the fact of the matter is, you cannot do that in Denver. So you want to be looking outside of the city, maybe further into the foothills, into the mountains where you can invest if you're looking to do Airbnb. The easiest way to find out the laws in your city is just to go on Google, Airbnb laws for whatever your city is, and check them out. But make sure if you're looking to get into Airbnb short-term rentals, check out those laws before you make any moves. Number 2, look into rental comps. Now, a lot of people look at Denver as a city that's up and coming, property prices are going up here, cost of living is going up, and they think, okay, I need rental properties there. But there are certain pockets of town that rent for a higher percentage than some others. So what you want to be doing is looking at rental properties, and you can do this on your own on Zillow, and go through and look at the average price of rents in different pockets of town. Then you want to compare that with the purchase prices in each side of town, and you really want to look for that perfect equation of buying kind of low and renting high. So there's a lot going into there. You can obviously talk to your real estate agent about that, and they can kind of break down those comps for you. But make sure you do your homework. Don't just buy downtown because it's downtown. Your percentage of profit might be a lot lower than outside in a less desirable to you area. Number 3, budgeting for repairs and deferred maintenance. As with the purchase of any kind of home, repairs are going to come up, but you are responsible for them. So if you're living inside the home and maybe the electricity isn't the best, or your HVAC cuts out now and then, and you want to live with that and deal with it, then that's up to you, it's fine. But if you have a tenant in place and you've signed a lease with them, you're obligated to keep that up to a certain standard. So you want to make sure that from the rent that comes in, you want to put some of that away that you'll put towards maintenance in the future going forward. Number 4, property management companies. Now, we spoke about this before. If it's your first rental property, or even your second, or maybe up to like 3, you might just want to run them all yourself. It's totally fine. Or if you and your spouse are doing this together, maybe one of you is responsible for one property, one's responsible for the other, whichever way you want to do it. But as your portfolio grows, if you're getting rental properties, you might want to consider a property management company. Now, they take care of pretty much everything. Obviously, you're going to front the cash for any repairs and stuff like that, but they are the middleman between you and the renter. So they'll be your first line of defense against everything. And then if something big needs to happen, the property management company will contact you. A lot of times the renters won't even know who you are, they just go through that company. Now, they take usually anywhere from 10 to 15% of the rental income, but that's the price you pay for peace of mind and knowing that a professional company is taking care of that. I personally prefer that, but it's completely up to yourself. All right, number 5, never let it sit vacant. Now, this might be obvious, but sometimes the end of a lease or the end of a term of a lease can creep up on you and you kind of forget what's going on. So I always like to say 2 months before the lease is going to end, speak with the current tenant, see if they're going to renew it, even try and get them to renew it in advance. And if they're not going to do it, that gives you another 2 months to market it on Craigslist, on Zillow and all that stuff to get a new tenant lined up, so there's no gap in your income. So make sure you are looking at that. Keep an eye, put it in your calendar when leases are coming up 2 months, 3 months before, so you can ask. And if your property management company is doing it, they should be responsible for that as well. That's one thing about the property management company. With vacancies, they should be on top of all that, but you want to remind them as they go, because if it goes vacant, you still have the mortgage payment, but you get nothing back in return from the renters. So make sure there are no vacancies, and if you are coming up to the end of a lease, get on top of that before it actually ends. All right, number 6, how to write a lease. Now, there are lots of ways to do this. If you're dealing with a property management company, they'll do all that for you. That's all great. If you're going to manage it yourself, you want to make sure you have a legally binding document and not just have a handwritten thing on a piece of paper. Back when we used to rent, the landlord just kind of wrote this lease down, and now that I'm in this industry and I look back on it, it wasn't legally binding at all. We could have got out of that lease anytime from all these different parts of it. So you want to make sure that you are airtight and you are protected and your home is protected from the renters or any possible bad situation that could go on. A really good way to do this is actually to use Zillow. So Zillow is good for some things, crap for some other things, but it's really good because you can go onto the Zillow rental manager and put in a bunch of stuff, and it will write a kind of standard lease for you for free, totally for free, and it's really, really helpful. So I would say explore Zillow. You can find other templates online everywhere, but Zillow is super easy. When you go to list the rental with Zillow, it will ask you to input the lease and do all that, and you can put that onto the other websites as well. So make sure you learn how to write a lease. If you don't know how to do it, you can ask an agent to pull up a template for you, or go on Zillow and there's one right there which will have everything legally binding, usually for your city or at least your state that you are in. So make sure you learn how to write a proper airtight lease. And the last one for today is to explore the rental market. Now, we've done our comps on the rental market and all that good stuff, but really look into what's going on. Read some stuff in the news, kind of do some research with different real estate agents, kind of ask them what's going on in the market. Right now in 2020, the world is a little bit crazy, so there's a lot of uncertainty going on, and the rental market is actually taking a bit of a hit because primarily renters are going paycheck to paycheck. They're not really building that long-term wealth quite yet on their journey, so they're going paycheck to paycheck, and those are the jobs that are taking the biggest hits right now due to the shutdown and the pandemic and all that stuff. So right now, buying a property for a long-term rental might not be your best option. You might want to go up to the hills and buy an Airbnb somewhere where maybe a little more of a wealthy clientele can go and use it, and you can make your money that way. Obviously, if you have someone lined up for a 3-year lease, then great, that's fine, you know, put them into the rental for sure. But before you go and spend your money on a rental property thinking you're going to lease it like that, make sure you do your homework in that area. What kind of jobs are going on, where the rental market is coming from, how the kind of temperature is right there. Always reach out to a real estate agent about that if you have any questions. A lot of them don't want to talk about the rental market because there's not too much of a commission on our part for rentals. But if you have someone you like, know and trust, ask them, just reach out and they'll definitely give you a guideline to what that's looking like. So definitely do your research before you go to invest in a rental property. So that's it for this week. 7 tips about getting into rental properties. There's a lot more to get through, but those are the 7 kind of major ones that a lot of people sometimes overlook and just kind of don't stress about, and they buy the rental property, then try and get over this stuff as they're already in there spending all their money. So as always, if you have any questions about any of these things, drop them in the comments below. I will answer every single question and go through it all. We'll be back next week, as always, with tips and tricks for sellers, buyers, investors, and we will see you then. Have a great week.